Well, we're back with Opinion Journal Live. Steve Moore is here to talk to us about the employment numbers that came out today. How you doing, Steve?
Hi, Dan.
Yeah, good to see you. Listen, Steve, I have been saying for months that among the top three things that the Obama campaign undoubtedly has on their wish list is that unemployment number would somehow have a 7 in front of it. And finally, that chip has finally come in for them. Steve, I've got basically two questions for you.
By the way, Dan, it only took 3.5 years, but it's finally here.
Better late than never. I'm sure that's what they think. So I got basically two questions for you, Steve. What does this mean economically in terms of the actual job picture? And secondly, what does it mean politically for the campaign? Let's start with the economics. What does it have to do with the reality of the jobs picture right now?
Well, the jobs picture still stinks. I mean, this is a point that we make in the editorial tomorrow, is that, here all these Democrats in Washington are, doing cartwheels down Pennsylvania Avenue, when the truth is this is still a very feeble jobs market. We only created about 110,000 jobs or so in this report. That's pretty bad. Now, it is true there were some gains in some key industries, and it is true that the unemployment rate fell to 7.8%. But that's still a huge number of unemployed workers. And what we looked at was the broader context of unemployment when you include people who've dropped out of the workforce and when you include people who are working part-time. And we found there is the unemployment rate, according to the Labor Department, is closer to 15%. It's a 14.6% to be exact. That's a dreadful number, and it suggests a lot of people have just become so discouraged they're not even looking for work any longer.
Well, among the discouraged, I think one of the numbers in there is kind of interesting to me is that the long-term unemployed, those people have been jobless for at least 27 weeks. That was barely changed at 4.8 million. That's still a very high number.
It hasn't come down. It hasn't come down. Now, the big kind of debate that's going on right now in this town is this huge increase in what we call the household survey, where the Labor Department actually surveys households, and that found an 875,000 increase in jobs, and everybody is scratching their head, Dan, saying, where did this number come from? We looked at the numbers over the last year. These numbers bounce up and down, and I would just warn people not to read too much into that number. The other thing that was interesting about it, Dan, 600,000 of those jobs, 2 out of 3 of those jobs, were part-time work.
Yeah, that's right. So politically, where do you think the issue goes from here? It's undoubtedly going to be brought up in the vice presidential debate next Thursday.
Sure.
Which way do you think this is going to cut for these two candidacies?
Well, as you said, Dan, this was very high on Obama's wish list to get that unemployment rate down below 8%. So it does take away a talking point for the Republicans, that we are now at 7.8. But look, we looked at the numbers where George W. Bush in October of 2004, the unemployment rate was 5.5%, and the Democrats ran against George Bush's lousy performance on jobs. Remember that? So 7.8% is still a sky-high unemployment rate, and the advice I would give to Paul Ryan is don't let up. This is an abysmal jobs market. People can't find good-paying jobs, and this has to be one of the major points of emphasis of Paul Ryan and also Mitt Romney in the debates to come.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Steve. We're getting a tremendous education in this election on the subject of jobs. Thanks much.